some technical difficulties with the GBI, GameCube, everything else. I'm sure you guys have noticed throughout the entirety of the beautiful runs we had this morning. A myriad of technical fuckery. There you go. Fuckery is the right word. Including the GameCube being the wonkiest capture I've ever seen. We're rolling in, you boys. So.
Am I on? Do you think? Hear me?
Oh yeah, you can hear the tonic.
Yo, what's up?
What it do? So yeah, I'm Deuceler. I hope you guys know this. This is my boy, Clear Tonic.
I'm a pure casual, so I played this game and I know what Deuce is doing.
He knows what it do. So yeah, this is LADX 100%. So we're gonna fake it till we make it. So 3, 2, 1, party.
Woo!
So yeah, man, this is LADX. So it's Link's Awakening on the Game Boy Color. This is the Japanese 1.0 version that has some glitches exclusive to it. And I'll kind of explain those as they come up. They're pretty cool, pretty flashy. I'm mashing A and B at the same time because that allows us to progress through the text a little faster. You also notice as I walk, Link will slightly push against objects. So normally when you're walking along a fence or a wall or whatever, the game has it so that's exactly what you do. You walk alongside it. But we can slightly clip into those objects, and it's a little bit faster movement, and it's also very important later on. Okay, so we're trying to grab the sword here early. Alright, got it. So by damage boosting off that spiky, I can cut like the owl's animation text box, whatever, and get the sword grab early. There is another method to grab it that's a little bit slower, but basically we're just mashing those two cutscenes together to skip through. Right now is a huge random part in the game, so I need to get 10 rupees. You'll see me using my shield. This is awesome. And yeah, this is super random, but so I extend my shield, and it allows me to pick up 2 rupees at the same time. Oh god, dude. Did it happen?
Bro, what'd you do?
Oh shit. I went to save and quit and I reset.
How?
Because I was playing on GameCube yesterday, and so I hit the wrong buttons.
Alright, try again.
So this is Link's Awakening, DX. That's cool, that was bad rupee luck anyway. I don't care that much. I'll still be under 140. I'm about the PB code.
Just get your reset out of the way now rather than deep into nightmare.
Yeah, so we're gonna go grab the sword. But I was trying to enter the save and quit menu there. The 100% category allows you to save and quit. The any percent major category is no wrong warp, no out of bounds, no save and quit, so you won't see. But we definitely abuse that in 100%. I just wanted to practice this. That's not it. So this is the other method of grabbing the sword. I'm holding the sword or the shield out and mashing A while holding right. So that's early sword grab also, but you can see the owl animation and text boxes are, I think it's like 2 seconds slower.
Like,
It's a little transparent. Okay. I didn't get the double there, but I already have more rupees. Okay. So the reset might have been good.
the long.
Yeah, the long play, dude. Okay, so we got 9. That's not bad. Alright, we got 10. So now we're gonna save and quit like we're supposed to. That was actually better luck than I was having. Now I'm doing the wrong thing. So there's seashells that we have to collect in this game, and there's 20 of them that allow us to get the level 2 sword. And also we're going to be stealing from this guy here in the shop, and we don't really death warp, and the rest of the run should be deathless, but this is an attempted death. And you also change whatever your name is. All the characters call you Thief. Alright, so by entering the save and quit menu there, you'll see that I still have my 10 rupees, but I bought the bombs. So I basically tricked the game into letting me buy the bombs Yo, nice. He can turn and stop you from exiting. But, yeah, by saving and quitting there, it allows me to keep my 10 rupees so that I can do the crane game. Hello? And generally, when you play this game, you also want to grab Yoshi here when you play it casually to start the trade sequence. But we're going to be skipping that, and I'll explain it when we get to it. The magic powder is kind of weird to grab, but there's a pretty solid setup. There's one that's a little faster than that, but I'm not good. Alright.
You're supposed to get this in the forest, right? But you can just come here and
Yeah. Yeah, so generally when you play casually, you go and you get the toadstool, and you take it to the witch, and then she gives you the magic powder that she makes out of the toadstool. And the reason we want that is because we need it. Tarin, who was the guy who gave us the shield at the beginning of the game, he actually has been transformed into a raccoon, and you use the magic powder to transform him back. Okay, I missed that. There's a thing coming up here called bomb triggers, and essentially we use a bomb in a screen transition, and whatever cutscene happens in that screen is activated. It's activated by the bomb, so you'll see what I mean right here. But there is some variables, like I have to kill this upper left moblin here for it. Oh, hello. I have to kill it for this to actually work for whatever reason. I'm gonna buffer it too, because it's a little bit easier. So I hold up and B here, and you see that it makes Tarin transform. And that allows us access to the tail key. This is a horribly slow time. I wonder why. Weird things happened, I guess. So generally when we're moving around, we want to clip into walls. Link does move a little slower diagonally. Than he does in cardinal directions, unless you get the Rock's Feather, which we're going to here in this dungeon, and then you actually move fastest diagonally when you're jumping. That's another little wall clip into the key slot. You'll see that used in a couple spots. There we enter the menu to skip the dungeon text when you enter. And a lot of the tech that you'll see throughout the game is actually used in this dungeon. Okay, nice. So by saving and quitting at all chests, we actually skip their text that is like, oh, you just got a seashell, GG. And so that saves time throughout the run. There's only one chest in the game that is faster to not skip it, and I'll make sure to do that to make Tampa proud.
What's 100% entail?
100% is basically a community-defined category. You know, there's people, of course, that will argue it's time. But in the DX version, there's 12 photographs that you can get by doing specific things in certain situations with characters at locations, and I'll explain some of those as we go. We actually got one. Ah, shit. We got one when we stole from the shop, but we haven't gone and talked to the photographer yet. Okay, this jump is pretty tight. I'll talk about 100% here shortly. Yeah, that works. My health is a little low, but... So yeah, you'll see me jump diagonally in places like this, and then clip into this block. So this is the most broken part of the game. I'm clipping into this wall, and that's called a super jump. And so by clipping into the wall, and I hold against it, this is a unique one right here, we won't talk about that. But you hold against the wall and then jump away from it and use your weapon, and the game thinks you're on a ledge. And so it makes you jump off of that ledge, and we use that throughout the run to abuse it. Hello? I'm just going to grab this fairy for safety, because Moldorm's a big. Also here, enter the menu and the door closes to save that text box. That's an okay fight. His positioning's kind of bad, but yeah, so 100% is defeating all the 8 dungeons and getting the 8 instruments of the siren. You get the 20 seashells so that you unlock the level 2 sword. There is 26 available seashells in the game, but as a community, LADX decided that getting the 6 additional seashells is unnecessary, because after you get 20 and you go into the seashell hut and get the level 2 sword, the game quits tracking your progress for seashells anyway. So I welcome this addition to the category because the other 6 are kind of out of the way. You get the 12 photographs that I talked about previously, and we'll be getting the first official photograph, aside from stealing, here fairly soon. Let's see, you get basically all the items, so we'll get, you know, boomerang and anything like that. The trade sequence gets completed, but we need to complete the trade sequence anyway, in order to get some of the other items. But yeah, it doesn't include like getting all compasses and maps and dumb shit like that. Just basically anything that detracts from the gameplay is kind of left out. Alright, this is the only chest in the game that it's faster not to save and quit.
You know what?
It's just the text message, I think. Alright. But I know most players save and quit there anyway, just out of habit, but Tampa often yells at people. But also collecting all the heart pieces throughout the run. And this one coming up right here, I could grab now, but it's the heart piece of shame, and I don't want Zorlax 7 to think less of me. So normally we have to rescue Bow Wow right here, but if we get Bow Wow and enter the photograph hut, the guy actually won't take our picture. Yeah, he's a dick. There's actually 2 separate photos you can get here, depending on what you choose. The second one, if you say no to him, you still get a picture. It's called the game over picture, and it shows Link in that position, but he's kind of got like crossed out eyes, like he's dead or something. Another really important mechanic you'll see is buffering of buttons. So anytime you're in a transition, you enter a doorway, nice. I can buffer my inputs. So you can do frame perfect stuff. Basically every screen transition out of every pause menu is huge. Okay, so by manipulating this dude and sword swiping, I can actually hit him twice. So that, generally if you just sword slash him or you do a spin attack, it takes a couple more cycles, but you can hit him twice. Same thing with the save and quit menu, I buffer that as well. So there'll be a couple instances coming up where to skip cutscenes and stuff like that, I will buffer it. This is called a flock clip. You can see Link moved sideways a little bit from that text box. So any item that is immovable, like the gems, or I guess they're not gems, I forgot what the hell they're called. You can clip into those in key blocks, and you can just kind of shimmy past them. So that lets us do a lot of different things in dungeons that aren't intended. Okay. This is kind of a newer route I started doing. Vlak does it. I don't know how much time it saves. I probably don't save any because I'm bad, but it's fun. That was bad. Yeah, man. So pretty much every time that I have arrows and bombs equipped, I'm gonna do a bomb arrow. Oh.
Bomb and an arrow?
Yeah. So you shoot an arrow, but it has a bomb attached to it, so it's it's quite a bit faster. And this the boss in this dungeon will feel the wrath of the Daughter of Red.
Not really seen that for a while, right?
Right. Yeah. So during the beginning, where I went through that stealing sequence. Hold on. Intentionally take damage there to shoot those ghosts through and save an arrow. So normally I think the older route is to go through the bottom there and you hit the switch in the other room and you go through the bottom. This is a tight little maneuver, nice. But yeah, you don't have arrow normally because 980 rupees is quite a bit in this game. and it takes you a long time. So the developers basically just thought that you wouldn't have it for a while. Oh, you punk. This Stalfos is a dick. This is actually a puzzle room, and you have to kill the enemies in that rabbit, bat, Stalfos order, or the master key doesn't appear. Okay. This room has some pretty cool stuff going on. You can use a bomb here to manipulate this block, but my bomb and arrow management is normally pretty tight, so just to be a little safer, I'm gonna... That saves a little bit of time to skip right there. Same thing here, skipping the cutscene and the greatest sprite in Zelda history. Normally when you do this genie bottle fight, he has like 3 phases. And so you get him back into his bottle, and you hit the bottle, and it takes 3 times to break it. But we're gonna go ahead and click into this wall. And by throwing him there, you can see that the bottle breaks automatically. I plant a bomb up there. Oh shit, I shot too early. But you can get a quick kill right there. If that bomb goes off before you shoot, like I should have, it throws him at the door, and then you shoot another bomb arrow and you kill him without him actually disappearing.
Bombs are pretty strong, right?
Yeah. And there's other bosses you'll see where bomb arrows are way effective to making the fight much quicker. Like in Dungeon 4, the Angler's Cavern, the boss there takes 3 bombs to die, and if you just drop a bomb in the water, it's super slow. Alright, so using another clip into the wall right there, you can just bypass those flowers. This point right here, we're walking over here, there's warps in the overworld, and they're a nice way to travel around. You can get around, you know, just by whatever, going through different areas, and there's like little caverns and stuff that take you across the Koholint Island. This is the only Zelda game, I believe, that doesn't take place in Hyrule, and it doesn't have the Triforce, and there is no game in. So when I was a kid, I was kind of intrigued by that.
Majora's Mask.
What's that?
Majora's Mask might be able to make the argument.
Okay.
But yeah, Koholint, I'm pretty sure is like its own thing.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Alright, so here, this guy gives us upgrades to our items. So there's 3 different wells, basically, that we talked to this dude, and he's actually a dick. He's making some pretty snide remarks here. I know you can't read them, probably. You might be able to, but I can't. But he's kind of a smartass to Link, and I scoot over. You're supposed to be in the center of that, getting zapped, but... so we just got a bomb upgrade to our bag. You can see I have 60 bombs now, which basically means we don't have to worry about bombs for the rest of the game. And he'll also give us an arrow upgrade, and then he gives us a powder upgrade. That Moblin is a dick, dude. Yeah, just another seashell that we're grabbing. As we go here, we're going to head actually to the seashell hut, because if you go there with 5 seashells and 10, you get an additional seashell. Yeah. So there's kind of these breaks in 100% where I'm just traversing the overworld and collecting items here and there. So it's a little quicker to grab that, so that now I have the seashells needed to get the bonus one. And in the any percent, no save and quit, wrong warp, out of bounds, you basically, I think, it might have changed recently because this game's constantly being updated. It might have changed where you have Bow Wow for the entirety of that run. Hello, dude, nice. So you just keep Bow Wow with you. But in 100%, we actually get rid of them. And I actually buffered right there so that Bow Wow went to the left, buffered down and right in that screen. Because if you shoot a bomb arrow, it can hit Bow Wow and it'll go away. Just coming here for a save and quit later on. This is, I'm really proud to share this moment with Tonic. This is the villa that our boy Richard owns. So we're gonna snag a quick dick pic. Here he comes, dude. quick dick pic, dude. Look at that Ventura hair, man. Dio, boys. So you'll see this screen quite a bit as we venture around these pigs and dicks. Alright, so the meter on the right, the circles are 5, 10, and 20, so you can see I got an additional one here. You heard the item get sound. That means that I skipped the text box while I grabbed that seashell. And I did a save and quit so I could come back here. The trick I'm about to do was discovered by a Japanese runner, or Japanese casual player actually, in 2014. I gotta listen here. Okay, so he fell down the pit while I was in the screen transition. For whatever reason, the game just kicks you over here. And so now I don't have to get the 5 golden leaves in Richard's Villa to unlock this key. The sprite is messed up and it just shows a golden leaf, but that's actually the key for the slime. What is it? It's the slime... Oh shit. Why am I forgetting the name of it? Is it the slime cavern, maybe? Anyway, that's the dungeon we're about to go to. So that skips a huge section of the game. And also, the game just assumes that you've done the trade sequence up to this point. And so after we finish, Taran will be swatting at the old beehive we passed earlier with a stick. And normally, you have to bring him items through the trade sequence that allow you to complete that cutscene. But since we've completed Dungeon 3 here shortly, the game will just assume we already did it. There's a really cool trick called a Jesus jump. I'm buffering to the frame in which I enter the water, and then save and quit menu, and it allows you to jump out here. Alright, same thing. Buffering the button out of the menu allows me to do it on the first frame, and during the screen transition I get to do that. And that pause is to be expected on those. Another thing, just clipping into the backside of this. Being able to do that saves a big chunk of time, because normally you'd have to go all the way around to that. Again, entering the dungeon and switching items. You can actually stand on the square that chest is supposed to appear, and it'll spawn on the area below it. I just did that the other day on accident. Guardian Acorn there is good, because we'd like to get the piece of power here pretty soon. Another little super jump here. The super jumps really start to be... Oh, that's bad. Really start to be apparent how powerful they are here. Also, when those keys drop, they're on a frame rule, so you basically have a 50-50 shot of getting the key on the frame it drops or not. So right there, every other frame you can pick up items. So I did not get the piece of power. Clip into here, do a super jump and bypass that fight completely, and then do another super jump here and you got the boots. So this dungeon is super, super broken. We're basically almost done with it. We're going to do that dong skip one more time. Big donger. You'll see this too if you like swipe your sword or you start the dash and you enter the menu. You can buffer things out of that like after you slash your sword. So if you want to jump but you don't have Rock's Feather equipped, piece of power. Yep. Okay. Skipping the text box there as well. Did I don't know. Okay, you can soft lock the game right there too. Ooh, I almost just pressed the wrong button. That would have been bad. So clipping here to do a flock clip, but I jacked it up. Again? Okay. These are really easy, I promise. I promise they are, dude. But piece of power here is actually important because it makes the boss fight quite a bit quicker. Also, this pit jump, you have to jump towards the end here and make that. Oh god. I think there's a 8-frame window to drop down ladders. You just like tap the down button instead of climbing it, you fall down it. It's kind of a feel thing. Might be less than that, but it's pretty free. I tried to enter the map there to skip that text box. Do a double bounce here to prevent the knockback there. But yeah, so with the pizza power, you can just sword slash those guys. If not, you have to do a charge attack. And that's a Sea Lily's Bell.
What's the spawn rate on the pizza?
So pizza power is based on how many enemies you kill. So there's like a 32 enemy cycle, and it is carried over everywhere you're at. So like in the any percent major category, that is completely routed for upper level runners, and it's extremely important. Like if I would have got the piece of power in the key room where I was intended to, you save 10 seconds overall in that dungeon, just based on movement speed. So here we're going to do a little more collecting stuff. I equipped the shovel so I can come here, grab this seashell. And by blowing this up earlier, the door is already open, so I don't have to waste a menu. A menu is 2 seconds, basically, if you do it optimally. You can not get hit by that guy, but I've never been able to do it in that first screen. It's super fast. Okay, I don't really like how my menu is right now. So one unique thing about this game that you'll also see in upper level runners that are better than myself, their menu optimization is insanely good because you can manipulate your menu however you want. Okay, so I'm holding basically buffer for the save and quit menu here. You hear the item get, and that skips Taran's running around whacking the honeycomb, and we're going to use that again here in a little bit. But yeah, the game assumes that I have the stick to trade him right there, even though I don't, because I beat Dungeon 3, it writes it into your inventory. But yeah, the inventory is completely manipulatable, unlike, Link to the Past, where I think it's probably a little easier in that game to get good at menus, because everything's set, and so you can kind of just plot out your inputs.
It's still tough, because you have to, like, with an updating inventory,
Gotcha.
how much you have to, but it's really interesting in this, because, like, you can just order it.
Yeah, and so you can see players have... so I missed the save and quit menu there. But you can see the top level players have different item sets, basically, where they like to have the menu and they know exactly where it is. Alright, so yeah, just going around collecting some more seashells. You'll see in this next room too how clipping into a wall can... Like right now I move up a little bit and clip into that wall, and it allows me to pass that fin of that enemy. Because if you don't clip into that wall, you'll take a hit there and slow down. So this is the animal village. We break the living hell out of this too. This was a pretty big barrier for a while. Alright, same thing here. Oh shit. So I hit B too late, and so the game assumed that I was negating that menu instead of accepting it. But there's a big barrier with the walrus, and people were looking for a way to actuate his cutscene for a very long time, and it wasn't until bomb triggers were found that we could do that. So now we're still on a collection spree. Whoops, forgot to grab the Rock's Feather. The Ocarina here, basically you go into Inception, and you go into this sleep room and go into a dream world. You take the boots, you run around, and you kill some of these mimic guys. Or we do a variation on a super jump called a naked super jump. So you clip into this wall, take your pants off, and party. It's fairly similar to a regular super jump, but you have to be facing up, so that's why I jumped the way that I did. And you'll see me use that again later on in the run in a very important strat. Oh yeah. This is actually the only reason that I run this category in this game. Right here.
Oh, fishing man.
Yeah, so...
Don't let Deuceler talk to you about fishing.
Alright, so we throw this line out here, and it's actually faster for us to let that fish go off the screen. No, you fucker, dude. I've never had that guy grab it. Interesting. Ooh, that is actually... Is that really bad for my rupees? It might be. But anyway, that guy shouldn't have grabbed that. But we'll deal with the repercussions later. So this guy gives you a heart piece. That's why we have to get him. And then I just said, no, I do not want to. But yeah, so that's the best part of the game, probably. If you wanted to tune in for the rest of it, you don't have to, I don't think. So this is Bow Wow's mama. Here's another photo. I've always been curious as to the doghouse is on the right, but what is the roof?
2 balls.
It's obviously balls.
Is that a face?
It's yeah, dude. It's kind of
They're both faces. Look at them.
yeah, pretty interesting, right? So again, changing to feather here. Not only hello. Here we're gonna do a little peeping Tom. A little peeping Tom. Dude's talking on the phone. He's our boy, and we just went ahead and snuck a picture without his permission.
He's the shy guy.
He is, yeah. Normally, you can call him on the phone and he gives you hints, but if you walk in, he won't talk to you. He only likes talking on the phone. Still going around collecting stuff. More seashells. Yellow. Alright. Switch back to the old sword. Yeah, see, my menus are trash. But it's cool. Going down here to the beach. The beach. And now we're going to pick up our girl Marin. Hopefully we get a tight little nut hug here. Oh yeah. Alright.
So why do you have to do this when you activate the Walrus cutscene?
So you actually have to have Marin to activate the cutscene because her voice is so soothing. The walrus is just sleeping and he hears her belting it out and it wakes him up and he starts grooving. In this cutscene, there's actually a pretty deep conversation. Link, or Thief, as he's referred to from this point on, doesn't talk for the entirety of the game. So Marin is kind of waxing poetic on life and asking if there's something beyond the island. And when you answer that question, she actually says, Link, are you listening to me? And you're like, oh yeah, for sure.
Sure, whatever.
So we don't grab this heart piece earlier because this is a photo op with Marin where she lands on his head. And we're gonna run down here and grab another photo as well. But yeah, she is actually talking about how she'd like to be a seagull and she could escape the island. And unfortunately, we don't get to see the dopest ending. If you beat the game deathless, at the ending, Marin is actually seen in the credits flying around as a seagull. So, pretty cool. But yeah, it's a nice reference to that cutscene.
This whole game is really cool in terms of like how it hints that everything's gonna go away once you beat it.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, whatever. If you guys haven't played this game yet, spoiler alert. It's pretty old, you know. 20 years, I think, is plenty of time. But so Link is shipwrecked, found washed on the beach by Marin, and Tarin. I think he's her dad. So that's him with the big old red schnoz. No, these photos are DX exclusives. And so Marin finds Link washed up on the beach of Koholint Island, and there's some monsters and some mysterious things going on. And Tarin found his shield, and he knows it's his shield because it has his name on it. That's like when you grab your shield at the beginning, and then you go down and get your sword from the beach. And you're exploring, and you understand in this giant egg that there's a windfish, and you don't know what the windfish is, but it basically just tells you, alright, there we go. There's a bomb trigger for the walrus. I bounce into the screen transition, enter the menu, and hold upright and the bomb button. And, yeah, that's all it takes, man. But, so yeah, you're going around and you're collecting the 8 instruments of the sirens in order to wake the windfish. And nobody really knows what happens when you wake the windfish. And so the owl is coming down and give you kind of these cryptic messages about, you know, you must wake the dreamer, and to save the island and get home, you have to wake the dreamer. And there's speculation as to who the dreamer truly is. Many people think that it's Link, because once you wake the windfish, which we'll be doing shortly, here's another bomb trigger. For whatever reason, they also grab heart pieces. When you wake the windfish, you wake up from a dream and the island has disappeared and you're in the middle of the ocean floating on your tattered ship. So the story really kind of sucked me in when I was a kid, because it was like, you know, thinking about things that I never really considered. Ooh, this is bad arrow-wise. So that's a landmaless fight normally. But by clipping into that left wall and holding up left, I can shoot twice before he even appears and skip his text box and also the fight in its entirety. And everyone knows Landmalus is a dick.
But it's super cool when you fight the bosses too. They start yelling at you because they know that
they
destroy the island.
Yeah, so they're like when you walk into Moldorm in the first one, he says, "Buzz, buzz, outsider, buzz, buzz." And so everyone knows that you're not from the island, and they understand the repercussions of you waking up the windfish. And so it's, I don't know, it's kind of this weird dilemma, because the inhabitants of Koholint Island are these innocents who don't know, but is it a real island? Is it Link's dream? You know, what is it? So there's a lot of unanswered questions that it's kind of up to the player to decide what is real and what isn't.
The game is full of Link's.
It is. I'm just saying, I think that Link is dreaming the entire thing and he's the windfish and he wakes up. Like, that's, but, you know, there's people on the internet that are way smarter than me, you know? Just throwing it out there. I'm just, you know, putting the options on the table.
They were idiots, not us.
No. Oh yeah, I mean, if you read the Hyrule Historia, it's super linear, like there's no bullshit. You know, the story is there and it is what it is, you know?
No bullshit.
So all the inhabitants of Animal Village really love Marin. She's a sweetheart. I kind of, as a kid, pictured them as lost kids, but they were animals that happened to live in this village. So they're kind of abandoned, stuck, left on their own, and Marin travels over from her village to kind of sing to him and give him some company.
I like to think that bottom right blue bear is
Alright, so that warp that I went to earlier is after Dungeon 2. This allows us to put the Angler's Key in. And so by waking up the Walrus and defeating Landmalus, he gives us the key to this dungeon. So we get to do a little more overworld movement, which to me is some of the most interesting things in the game. The dungeons are great, but they're pretty benign at this point. Like, the tricks that we use throughout the dungeons make them, I don't know, they're great, you know, and as a longtime casual player of this, going in and just kind of destroying the dungeons with ease really kind of interested me, you know. But the overworld movement is really, really neat in this game. The menuing obviously could be improved. There is a trick here that is 2 pixels. We'll see if I get it. That should be good. Oh, fuck. That close. But, yeah, man. That guy, he's, you know, waving, but fuck him.
He wants food. He wants your food.
He wants my food, but, bruh, I'm on this.
Yeah, I'm sure you just saved the world.
Exactly, dude. So that was another save and quit. I jumped for some reason. Here's a non-transition Jesus jump. Blink. Alright. So we're actually going up here to get a seashell and a photo. And there is some really fun stuff in this game. Like, I'm gonna shove my sword up my ass here in a minute. Do tell. So here's a seashell. We'll menu over. Get my sword out. Whack this dude. And stick it in. Yeah, it's a good fit. I mean, the hilt isn't too wide, you know. So the photographer, I'm pretty sure, just died, but it's cool. So we save and quit there so we can come back without having to traverse all that shit. And we don't have any flippers yet, so deep water is still kind of a problem. Alright, again, enter the menu to skip the dungeon text. This dungeon has crazy shit going on. It's really unfortunate that I ran out of arrows. It'll make things a little bit slower in here, but you'll still get the gist of what's going on. The boss fight in particular will be quite a bit slower. That Octorok is an asshole. So, like, oh, dude. That was the message saying, like, hey, this has cracks in it. How could we ever blow it up with the bomb that's going off right now? So we clip into this wall, jump and, hello. Clip into this wall, dash, jump, and hold up, and you can basically skip most of the dungeon. This Stalfos, I've never actually jumped over him successfully, so that's tight. Another Jesus jump here. And we're gonna change to the sword. Oh, hello. Okay. Same thing, that skips a good portion of the dungeon, including the mid-boss. Nice.
If it's not clear, you don't have flippers yet.
Right. Yeah, so this room right here, this is the flipper chest. That door to the right is actually the mini-boss for the dungeon, so you're supposed to kill him before you get the flippers, but at least now we can do some swimming without Jesus jumping. This is one of the coolest tricks in the game to me. It involves 2 super jumps. You have to clip into this wall. Didn't get it, that's fine. Nice damage, dude. Alright. So you actually have to go neutral on the D-pad when you hit that dude that... You want him to be as high as he can so you can clip into the left wall. And then you do a super jump, go neutral, hit him, and then hold down. So it's kind of a little complicated movement, but it's pretty cool. You get it by feel. Yeah, that skips a huge portion. So normally I could use long arrows here to kill this guy, but it's still not super slow. But yeah, that dungeon, if you grab all the keys and do it casually, takes much longer than what I just did. That, grabbing the boss key, that skip saves a bunch of time, because normally you go underwater and you do all this other puzzle solving to get to it. Yeah, but now, surf harp, it's pretty tight. You probably think that all these instruments have no correlation to each other, but little do you know.
Link's forming a band. Getting the gear first.
Again, we're gonna go around and go ahead and collect some more shit. The ocarina that we got a song from Marin already, but now our boy, what's his name, Maru, I think? He's gonna go ahead and get funky, so bust out your O's in chat if you know what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, Mambo. Maru is Wart.
Or it might be the other way around. I don't know.
Either way, it's cool.
Just a bunch of dudes jamming.
Oh! So now we learned another song on the ocarina. Mambo number 5. And yeah, so the songs all have different uses. Marin's song that she gives you, the Ballad of the Windfish, can, like when you normally get the rooster, and Lane Staley comes back to life, you use that song and it reanimates this rooster to help you get a key for a cave that we're gonna skip entirely later. Sick. I might have run into him, dude. And then the frog song is just tight. That's pretty much all there is to it. This guy is the best character in the game, hands down. The ghost side quest.
Look at that face.
There's a maybe or maybe not going to need that save and quit. But the ghost side quest is skipped in the major any percent category, just because you can, if you don't finish Dungeon 4, he basically doesn't appear. And so you do the first half of Dungeon 4 and then come back later in the game and finish it so you don't have to do the ghost. Gonna use another bomb trigger here. I'm gonna do this nice and slow. Alright, so normally you have to do a bunch of trade sequence stuff right here. Another beautiful censored localization. You can see that's a bikini top. There's a mermaid swimming around with her toddies out, and she doesn't want to come out of the water because she doesn't have her top. So the fisherman finds it, we're going to return it to her, and that completes the trade sequence for the game. But in the American localization, she doesn't have her necklace, and so she's underwater. Alright, 7 buffers here is equal to... Oh, sick, okay. 7 buffers means that it's the same amount of time as if you don't save and quit, so... Remind me that I have to go get a picture, because normally I don't get that. Okay, this is... Alright, cool. I actually like this one the best. This is a cool... Okay, hold on. I'll explain it here in a minute. Oh, that's really bad. So this is Zora Bump, and normally you need the hook shot right here, but we're just gonna go ahead and bypass that. I think that's right. Okay. I think I might not make this. Alright, that sucks. So the ghost randomly talks to you also. But depending on the Zora's position, I have to set up differently. Let's see. So I'm just buffering to get to the right position so I can use my shield to clip into the wall below him. And then I do a super jump across. That might work. And then... Okay, so we're over. You have to look at the ledge there to see if you can clip. But normally you have to go to Dungeon 5 and get the hook shot to be able to cross that. So that basically saves a bunch of time too. And this is the magnifying lens. You'll see there's actually hidden enemies here we couldn't see before. And that's what the mermaid scale gets us. You put it on that statue and it completes it. So if you don't do that save and quit strat, you just come right here for this picture. And this is a really interesting situation. Like, why is the photographer swimming underneath the bridge with his camera? The fisherman hooks him and brings him up, so he's like, "Dog, what are you doing?" And then Link lifts his sword up and knocks the fisherman out of the boat. All the meanwhile, he gets a picture, but Link doesn't have his sword up, so it's no, it's pretty interesting. So those owl statues also give you hints as you travel throughout the game. That's Dungeon 5, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We're going to do a couple more things over here, get rid of this damn ghost so he quits him and Han. Part of the quest here is to take him to his old house. So this is it right here. And he goes in and kind of wanders around. Oh man, this is my old spot. So many triumphs right here in these sheets. Right over here I used to sit and write novels. These pots held all my money, all my items and my belongings. I've seen what I need to. I can go to rest. Take me to my final resting place, Link. And you're like, alright, cool. So we're going to go ahead and do that. But first, we're going to complete another little cool trade sequence here. There's this moblin who just happened to put up shop in a cave. His cousin ran along some new items, but he was looking for a shovel because he owns a dirt company. And so we're going to go ahead and trade the item in our B slot. And that's what he says here. yo, I got this thing if you give me the item in your B slot. And so you open up your B slot, and he gives you a boomerang. Also, if you guys ever play Rando, you can knock this monkey off the tree. You play Bingo, there's a slot to knock the monkey off his tree, so feel free to donate to twitch.tv cleartonic if you enjoyed that tip. Oh, what am I doing? So we'll also see how nice the boomerang is, because it's pretty broken in terms of helping us out with stuff like this. Not only can it grab items, that was a seashell by the way, but it also just tears through the bushes, and for some reason the hitbox is kind of wonky on that one, I don't know. You do this little jump across there, pretty sweet. And yeah, we're still just traveling around, collecting items, filling out the slots that we need to satisfy the category that we arbitrarily created for fun. This should look a little familiar to you guys. So this is the first instance where we're going to see the ocarina in action.
Mambo warp.
Yeah, so Mambo always takes us back to the same spot. And it just so happens that this is very convenient for having the ghost. I slow down a little bit there because you have to select the right option. If you don't, especially on this one for the arrows, you're basically screwed. So yeah, by playing this, it warps us. And there's actually this woman named Crazy Tracy that lives in this shack right here.
She's crazy.
Yeah, she cray, dude. And put that ocarina... I should put my boots on before I leave the house. But put that ocarina down in the bottom. Kind of just forget about it. Alright, and you see that grave up in the left. This homeboy's grave. He's apparently a pretty important person on Colin Island because it's a separate grave from the graveyard that we're going to be in here in just a second. See me buffer up left there to squeeze out those extra pixels of optimization. When you're like 15 minutes behind the world record, things like that are important, you know? This is a pretty cool photo. I'm not sure if it's there still or not, but there was an artist who recreated this photo and slapped it on a t-shirt for the Yeti. It might be there still. You can go check that out if you're into it. But how cute is that, dude? Alright, so now we're heading to a DX exclusive dungeon that, ashamedly, I hadn't actually played until I started speedrunning this category. That's a nice little skip right there. Also need the hook shot. There is a way you can grab that with a boomerang. That's it. Fucking keys! But there's a way that you can grab that with a boomerang. You have to move these graves in a specific order, in a specific direction to unlock. Yo, you see that boost? But yeah, this is the color dungeon. And these guys are kind of the guardians of the entrance. And they actually ask you some questions, and they're verifying that you're on the Game Boy Color so that you can play the color dungeon. So, yeah. These little slime dudes are exclusive to the dungeon. They're pretty cool. And you see the boomerang is OP. Here's an instance of bomb arrowing. I just did some menu movement right there. So, if you guys are playing this, you need to know that, ooh, I'm gonna be like a rupee short. That's fine. We have to do a console reset in order to have the rupees in that room reset. I don't know why anyone would ever do this, but if you're playing the game and you can assign buttons, the Y button is not recommended to assign that to.
I don't know who would do that.
No, I don't know why that would be a thing, but...
Bad idea?
Yeah, it seems like a fairly bad idea to use a prominent button on the controller that your hand is constantly by while you're mashing text to use, but, you know,
I'm sure sometimes.
people live and learn. Here's another boss coming up that is basically annoying. So we buffer up and jump there to get into this position, do another jump, and then... hello? Drop that magic pow pow. Also another sweet thing right here. you can like buffer super jumps. Alright, so we grab the key, save and quit, reset the console. That puts us back at the beginning of the dungeon. Without that save and quit, obviously you wouldn't have the nightmare key, or not the nightmare key, but the boss keys. So that resets the rupees in the room. And we need 300 rupees, that's why we go ahead and do that. And we just go to the next part of the dungeon here. Buffer that into the stone golem. Shoot another one when it's done. So yeah, as I enter these doors, I'm just holding A, or whatever button is assigned, you know, to my arrow or my boomerang or whatever. And, okay. This is probably the hardest little puzzle to do optimally in this room. Obviously the color dudes, you put into their respective holes. You can throw them pretty easily. Oh my god. Bro, that's green and blue. My bad. I don't know what I'm doing. You guys don't know this yet? Alright, anyway. You guys seen it here? That's not what I want. So anytime I can switch to the Rock's Feather to move diagonally quick. Hello? That's preferred. And then that also lets us skip here, buffer, arrow, jump over this dude. Pretty unsubstantial. So now we get a huge decision from the fairy here. We can grab the red tunic, which doubles our attack, or we can grab the blue tunic, which halves our damage. Blue tunic is the hotness. If you grab red tunic, you're a terrible person. Shoutouts to my boy, the French-Canadian sensation, Don't. But at this point, after this dungeon, we're getting the level 2 sword anyway. Not this dungeon, I'm sorry, the next dungeon. We're getting the level 2 sword anyway, so I think that if you do red tunic completely optimally, it's a 2-second time save. So even the top runs now just use blue tunic. Alright, so the 300 rupees we grabbed. Nice shot, Dick. This seems weird, but we need the seashell. The 300 rupees we grabbed are at the end of this little puzzle. Oh my god, dude. So that's another instance where I was dashing and I just switched to the Rock Feather and buffered it out. So these signs say, use this sign over here, or something along those lines. And if you read the wrong sign, you have to start completely over. I clipped in there so that I can skip that. You jump, and then just hold down, and you clear that gap. Yep, yeah, there's all more hookshot skip stuff. And the dash jump is extremely long in this game. Like, they programmed it awesomely, I guess I should say, but I don't think that they saw the unforeseen consequences of actually dashing and jumping. Alright, so 2 more signs here. Yeah, so anytime I read a sign and I go to dash, I have to make sure that I'm not facing the sign because it'll just go... So here's our boy, Wart. If you guys have the Franker Face Z add-on, go ahead and check out the channel's emotes and throw them up. For whatever reason, this seizure-inducing flashing lights happens pretty frequently on a lot of different versions. But ideally, it would be completely blacked out and the spotlights would only be on the frogs. Alright, so now we've got Frog Song. And he's like, hey man, play the song, let the people know, dude. And I'm like, alright, cool, peace, thanks for the song. And now this heart piece probably left many a youngsters perplexed. I know when I was looking for 100% when I was like 8 years old, this one eluded me for quite some time.
And youngsters.
That was back when you had to call the Nintendo hotline. You're like, Mom, get off the internet. I need to call Nintendo. The intranet. But yeah, so there's no other way to get this. I'm hoping that one day somebody finds something, but this is the only way to get this heart piece that we currently know. And the enemies that you see here are actually in old Dickie Boy's villa. Alright, so there's this sweet heart piece. Luckily the warps count as like entrances, so if you save and quit you go back to them. Boop, 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 boop. Alright. So now we have to go into Dungeon 6, the Face Shrine. But we also get a guest appearance from Azora here. And, yeah, so basically what he's saying is like, bro, you didn't grab the hook shot, you bumped off my homie earlier to go and get the lens. Like, what's the deal? And you're like, let's squash the beef and take a pic, dude. So you do, so now we're cool with the Zoras. But yeah, Dungeon 6, we're doing them a little bit out of order here. We're going 4, 6, 5. Just for, you'll see why. But this dungeon is fun, but the lead up to the dungeon is awful. Getting the key, to me, for me, I should say, is the most difficult one in the game. This little maze is pretty interesting though. And we abuse the game's mechanics, of course, to, that was terrible, get past these guys. If I don't use my shield here, they come to life and they do quite a bit of damage. You'll see me damage boost off these slime guys here in just a minute. Another seashell here. We're getting damn close to being done with those. So yeah, I'm going to bump this guy here. Take damage off that slime. I'm going to just go here, reset it, it'll be easier. So you can damage boost there, but you'll see why I didn't, because I'm bad at this fight coming up. Alright, you clip through there and avoid damage. There's a couple different ways to go about this fight. They're all pretty tough, and I'm bad at all of them, so we'll see how it goes. Yo. Yo!
Uh-oh.
Ah, no!
Dude.
He's getting stuck. Okay, I'm gonna go over here. He does so much damage, it's brutal. So normally I would bounce off that wall, and then bounce off the right wall and go left, and hit him after I dashed, like the 4th time, but I missed the bounce, so then I got stuck in a perpetual cycle of shittiness. So yeah, now I have the key. Also, when you play the game casually, you go into the room above, and it describes the windfish's egg to you. It gives you a pattern, and click through this right here, and you can just pass this homeboy. But it gives you a pattern to traverse the windfish's egg. By clipping in there, I can hit that guy with one bump too. But if we don't go into that room at all, then the pattern is set always. So we use that to our advantage. And it's always left, left, up, right, right, up, left, up. So you can always find the windfish that way. Or the nightmares is the final boss, and we'll go into that a little bit more.
Now it's mostly dungeon and cleaned up, right?
Yeah, for the most part, we have a lot of the collection stuff taken care of. This is like where my favorite part of the run. The collection stuff is cool, but these dungeons are all really fun. Yo, that timer is looking hot, boys. Bleed through. You guys get it. You can read it. Alright, so another jump here. This is another really broken dungeon. There is a chance for a soft lock here, but just know that if I get it, it's because I'm bad and no other reason. Yo, nice boomerang throwing. Oh my god, dude. This is not a hard room at all. Your boy is throwing these diagonals like a boss, dude. Oh my goodness. Okay. Hey, we did it.
That was hard.
Dude, that is like a... I want to say maybe pixel perfect, but, you know.
What everyone calls frame perfect.
Pixel perfect, give or take 15 to 30 pixels. So this, you just hold up left and wait here for a second. Cool. Go ahead and throw this for nice arrow, nice arrow. This is the level 2 bracelet. Allows us to pick up heavy stuff. A nice little save and quit back to here. So normally there's quite a bit of stuff you gotta do in this dungeon to progress. That's a pretty common theme, obviously, as we're just absolutely dismantling the game's intended mechanics. But you'll see as I go through here, we're gonna get into a nice section of super jumps that allow us to do quite a bit of fun stuff. Yo, 420 bomb arrows, let's go.
Yo, what up?
There is a really fast way to do that room where you slash and use like a bomb with a sword, but for some reason I'm dumb and haven't learned it yet. Okay, so I'm gonna jump really late here, and I'm actually clipped into this wall right now. And that allows me to come up here, which is not intended. The only way to open this chest is with that. There is some crazy super jump method to get back down here, but I don't know it, so I just flock clip. Or I try to waka flocka, but it doesn't work. There you go. Okay, so this super jump is the potential to soft lock the game, but we're not going to do that today. Oh, that was close. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Easy every time, dude. Especially the second time. But yeah, that skips huge portions of the dungeon as well.
Yeah.
The only bad thing, I was thinking about my menu for a minute, we do have to throw the horse heads here, and this is completely random. The most that it's ever taken me so far when I came back to the game was 7. Or we can just do it first try, that works also. So we clip here. I did not get the flock clip, that is unfortunate. Yup. Okay, that works. So yeah, not having to use those keys is a huge, huge advantage when we can go through those. Allows us to mess that dungeon up. Go ahead and kill that wizard right here. This boss coming up is very strange. His hitbox is already active even though he's not here. So we can hit him 3 times before he even really appears. Clear facial, throw him if you got him. There is some sound cues for doing this optimally, but it's super good right now. Good enough for the boys I run with. Alright, facial. Coral triangle.
Ring-a-ding-ding.
So yeah, now we're gonna backtrack a little bit in the intended route of the game and go back into the, what is it, the cat's mama, I think, or something? It's got some goofy name.
Catfish's maw.
Catfish's maw, there we go. I'm gonna try for a bomb trigger here, and I totally whiffed it. So if you do a bomb triggers in certain areas with the owl, you'll actually skip his flying animation, and he won't fly down, the text box will appear. Go ahead and get that. Them boots. Okay, nice. So now we've got our 20 seashells. We're gonna get the level 2 sword. Whoa. And for whatever reason, this bar is actually the reverse of what the one is. It's like Oh, baby.
Sword's literally bigger than him.
It is, yeah. It's a pretty serious sword. Okay.
It's quite strong.
Yep. So you'll see a difference a little bit. You really don't hit that many enemies in the overworld anymore, but it definitely helps if you play the game casually. You'll see it. And there's some pretty cool tricks coming up in this dungeon that I, for one, really like. Buffer jump here, so you don't have to swim. Same thing here. Okay. So the level 2 sword also helps with enemies in here quite a bit. That was actually sick. Okay. This room is pretty broken. It's pretty funny. Like, they definitely intended for you to manipulate those a lot more than you actually have. Okay. So these skeletons all need to die, and they can't have any items out. Like, we can't have a rupee there. We push this, and we normally get a key. We're gonna wall clip, jump into the transition. There's 1 pixel that I have to be on right there. Buffer, hold left, pray. First try, easy every time. Alright, so I grabbed the key in the transition, but normally you have to kill the boss or the mini boss in the dungeon 4 times, and it gives you the hook shot. But by tricking the game into thinking that I pick up an item in that room, it just gives you the hook shot when you enter that room, because there's no other item you can get there. And this is the guy that you normally fight 4 times, so we skip a huge part of the dungeon by skipping him too. Well, shut up. There has been arguments tried to be made in the Discord that it's against the rules or whatever, but I think the community in large just thinks it doesn't really add anything to the dungeon by killing him 4 times other than walking into rooms that you have to kill him in. Like, it doesn't really do a whole lot for us, I don't think. If you just hold left and mash jump here, you'll always go past those bloopers. Oh!
Dude, there's a bit there.
Where? Oh shit, dude. See, this is why Tonic's here, dude. Who knows how long I would have wandered aimlessly into that pit. Alright, so let's see how this goes. No, okay. Yeah. I don't know what that noise was, but we're gonna deal with it. So now we're walking to the end of the dungeon already. These guys can jump. Oh, got him. Got him. Buffer hook shot out of there. Also, it's worth noting that we have hook shot on B and feather on A. And you, basically, if you do them both, you get an auto hook shot. This is what in the fuck? Swag. No, I've never seen that before.
Like, you warped, dude?
So I jumped on the frame that I fell down the pit when I shot my hook shot on the frame I fell down the pit. And the game didn't know how to react, I guess, so I'm glad I didn't soft lock there. That was pretty cool. So this is random, which hole he pokes his head out of. That's awesome. So hopefully I'll guess correctly again. Yeah, fuck that. Red set. No, okay. You're a dick. Alright. So ideally, we would basically guess correctly. I say basically a lot. Basically, bring it back, dude. Let's bring it back. But this xylophone is pretty sick. But yeah, you ideally would have him pop out in an area you can just hook shot him twice and get the 4 swings. 4 is the most swings you can get when you have him pulled out too. as you hit him, sections of his body come off, and if you pull him from really far away with like one hit left, you'll actually pull him out of the wall. We warping again. So these are my two favorite dungeons in the game, Dungeon 7 and 8. And I think, you know, again, if you play the game casually, Dungeon 7 in particular, when I was younger, was a super confusing area that you had to run around, and the mechanics of breaking the pillars was... I mean, I understood it, but trying to figure out a way to get to each pillar was really frustrating, because there's a lot of block switches that, you know, allow blocks to come up or down from the ground, and grabbing the right amount of keys, and you had to pick up this big steel ball to be able to knock them down, and we're just gonna break all of that, and it's actually really fun when you get to do it this way. Back to what we were doing before, same movement.
Yeah, because you're supposed to go back to town and get the rooster.
Yep.
Bring it with you.
This, I think, is like sub-pixel dependent, but apparently we're... Okay, we're gonna get it this time for my boy Bick. Holler. That's 2 pixels that you have at the top of that to grab it. Alright, so this is, I guess the toughest trick in the game. It's a barrier for a lot of people that start.
Well, I guess it's the hardest thing ever.
Well, people think that Zora Bump is more difficult, and I kind of agree with that, but Rooster Skip is pretty intimidating because it's punishing if you fail it. But, oh baby, if you fall down those pits, you get spit right out to you. Clip here, jump, ooh, that's rough. Switch to hook shot, and I can buffer. Okay, so I'm gonna buffer to right. Oh, that's bad. I'm gonna shoot again. Oh fuck, I fell down the pit. So this is why it's bad if you mess up. It's like 15 seconds every time you mess up. But what I'm trying to do is, the frame that the hookshot goes away, you can jump. And so, instead of grabbing the rooster in town, which takes quite a bit of time, we're going to do 2 of these jumps to be able to grab the key to the Eagle's Tower. That's better. Okay, that looks good. Should get it this, yeah, right here. Second try, every try. But yeah, so you can do that bufferless, and it's quite a bit faster, but it's pretty unnecessary unless your time's a lot better than mine. So we fall back down. Now we're heading over to Eagle's Tower, or Dungeon 7. And we will head back that direction to go to Dungeon 8, but all in good time. Just a little more overworld navigation. There is some stuff here that's faster than what's intended. At this point, you know, we should be pretty good on health, and we only take half damage, so that's pretty much no longer a concern. You can see that those keys hitting me didn't even do a full heart of damage yet, and I got hit twice. Obviously it's annoying and you slow down a little bit, but we'll be using the hook shot here a bit too to improve our movement as we go around. Man, that hook shot is in a terrible spot. That guy can be a jerk sometimes. Alright. So yeah, you're gonna see another key block clip here too. These ones are always cool. Oh, I didn't get... If you do it, I don't know how to trigger it every time, but if you do it, it has this horrible, like, buzzing noise that stays on the entire time the tower's turning. It's pretty good. Alright, again, using that to skip the dungeon text. Taking damage intentionally here. The boomerang helps so much throughout the entirety of this, it's crazy. Right here is the mirror shield. So in order to complete the 100% requirement, we need that. You can actually get stuck right there, but we're gonna go ahead and just run right through it. We won't have to come back. You have to kill that slime right there. Maybe? Nice, okay. So we're just gonna use bomb triggers to break all these pillars and make this dungeon almost boring, but if you played through it casually, it's pretty rad to be able to beat it like this. Okay, this is another naked super jump. You can't do super jumps if you're in the corner block. Yeah, it's crazy. And then this one, you can actually buffer through the transition. So I'm in the transition right now, pause, hold down, and B, and basically the dungeon's done at this point. There is a trick that has a 25% chance to be set up for me to succeed, basically. It's called Goomba Surf. It's my personal favorite trick in the game, just because the name is rad and it's a cool trick. That was almost the wrong button. I heard if you fall down that pit, it sets you to a part in the dungeon that makes you lose a little bit of time. Just heard that. Rumor. Alright, so I'm going to grab these bombs because I don't know what my count is at. So I'm a pixel above right here. I'm actually clipped into the wall. I need the Goomba. I need him to go to the right. Like that. So I have a 4-frame window to surf right there. And then I can dash up here and I skip all that stuff for the dungeon right there. Easy every time. So that was Dungeon 7. This boss fight is pretty humorous. This eagle is pretty sweet. He cruises with, I guess, Skullboy or whatever. And normally you hit him with a hook shot, he flies around, he does some shit, but if his claws go right there, you can just shoot down the ladder and... So yeah, that's the boss for Dungeon 7. What's not fun is if you clip too far off the ladder here. Oh! You have to redo the fight. Hello?
Yeah, because it's like a mechanic that...
Yep. Alright. So now we're heading to the final dungeon, Dungeon 8. This one, if you could guess, is broken by super jumps and the like as well. We also have one final heart piece to grab, which is kind of a unique one because you access it through a dungeon and it's in the overworld, so that's pretty cool. This is a really cool trick. If you buffer save and quit here and then down and left, you jump further so you don't fall into that pit. Bump here to avoid damage from the Skullboy. One interesting thing about the boots in this game too is you can use them before you dash. Like you'll notice that I got a little dust and you can corner, and it's pretty quick to be able to move diagonally and get into a straight line here. And I don't know that any other Zelda games have that mechanic. Alright, so this is a trick that I've recently learned called... that's bad, I think. Oh, no, that was good. It's called Zoomerang. We'll see if I can get it. You'll see why it's called Zoomerang. No, okay. No big deal. Let me just try it again. Okay. It's kind of a finicky little trick, but... No, I didn't press up quick enough there. So I'm skipping a cutscene here, actually. There we go. You skip a cutscene with Tarin and Marin right there. And it's a pretty long one, so basically save time still. The other strat is you dash and you just jump with your sword at the right time to be able to skip it, but Zoomerang's a bitchin' name and it looks cool, so worth. You can also see a lot of Link to the Past kind of shout-outs in here, like just the rock bullshit, the Moldorms, whatever.
This is Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock. Alright, this is our final well of despair. And he's going to give us a magic powder upgrade. So we've fulfilled all the needs for, you know, item upgrades and things that we're picking up and whatnot. And he said, yo, you got 40 fucking powder. And we just kind of swag it up over here, set homeboy on fire. Drop a bomb. Alright, so I'm going to clip into this wall. You normally use the mirror shield here, and you can just do that instead. A little faster. We have another bomb trigger coming up, and this one is really finicky, so hopefully this dude doesn't shoot an arrow. Okay, that's good. I've never actually had him shoot an arrow, so I wouldn't even know what to do if he did. Okay, so you see how Link put his hand out? I buffered the pause menu. That means I just did it like a frame early. So you buffer the pause menu and put another bomb down, and it still does the bomb trigger. This is an intended boss fight, but we're going to go ahead and just run through his face. And this is Dungeon 8, Lava Spooky Time. These guys are controlled by your movement on the D-pad. If you don't do a bomb arrow right there, you're not a Link's Awakening runner. Alright, this is a 2-pixel trick also. It's pretty interesting. Ah, shit. You have to jump and push against the ledge without actually falling off of it. Like, so you'll see I'm not doing that correctly. Oh my god, dude. One of these days, you guys will see what I'm talking about. This saves a huge amount of time though, so... Alright, that should be good. Okay. Apparently I don't know how to do this trick. I'm looking at the orange on the floor to line it up. Okay. Right on.
Patched it.
Yeah, dude. I hate when Nintendo patches shit. They can't even put Geno in Smash and they patch this shit. Oh my goodness. Yo, so if you guys want to get like some coffee, maybe a soda, feel free. Oh my god, dude, what is this game? Yo, we did it. So, yo,
there's a lava pit there. You see that?
I was trying this new trick, but it didn't work out.
Oh, alright. Maybe you should jump into the lava pit.
I'll work on it. So, unfortunately, this was my favorite boss as a kid. I love this dude, and he's so insignificant. Yeah, Mike Tyson, Bianco, and then of course just more game-breaking super jumps. And now we got the fire rod. Shout out to the Wang boys. You'll know what I'm talking about in a little bit, hopefully.
Sure.
But we're gonna use more super jumps and a trick that's exclusive to this dungeon called Lava Swim. I think that's what it's called. Is that what it's called? Yeah, so that was another naked super jump right there. Wow. So I had to swipe my sword there in order to swim in the lava. Nice shot, bro.
It's really interesting that it's like it has water-like qualities.
Right.
You'd expect to just die or take damage.
Well, yeah, normally you take damage and you just get booted back out to whatever spawn point. So that was the last of the heart pieces. Hit him. Oh, okay. That boomerang throw is tight. And these guys are terrible casually, dude. I mean, they're terrible all the time, obviously, but they just, like, leave and don't come back sometimes. There you go. Alright. More super jumps to navigate around. Oh yeah, the level 2 sword shoots out that thing. Tough boss. This room is a real detox. You have to control this, and you can try to jump and move at the same time. Generally, when you're a bad player like myself, that's ill-advised, but, you know, whatever. let's go. So now we're gonna go to the boss room, and this boss has super funky mechanics. I want to look into it, but he takes anywhere from 5 to 20 shots to break his exoskeleton, and then you can actually do damage to him. Also, there's a lot of stuff that's just really fortunate for us in this game. Like, right now I'm doing a Jesus jump, and for whatever reason that clips you into the wall. Like, it doesn't really make sense, but it happens to work out. Oh, nice shot. Oh my god, this is awesome. That's so good. So that wasn't too bad. Minus me completely missing shots. But yeah, so the heart always drops in the center of the room, so if you go up here, you can catch it out of the air. Hopefully I get this right here. I missed it, of course. If you shoot your fire rod out, it sticks directly out in Wang Boys, so... Yeah. I ask you not to get personal, man, but it's cool. Alright, so all the dungeons have been completed. We have the 8 instruments that we require to attempt to wake the windfish. Now we're just gonna set some people on fire. You probably don't really need to, but it's kind of fun. And you'll see how amazing the fire rod is. So in the Link's Awakening speedrun, it is quite a bit different from the DX version. The fire rod has some crazy glitches involved with it, and that run is quite a bit faster. Alright, here we go. We're gonna bump into this screen transition as well to do another bomb trigger. So we just, instead of having to do the ocarina, we just do a bomb trigger and it puts on the Ballad of the Windfish. And without the 8 instruments here, you can't trigger this cutscene, so you have to have them in your inventory. This is a good song, despite Tonic's attempts to ruin it. Oh, yo, I'll take a grape soda. No, because the emulator will be fucked up. I'm not doing anything. Yeah, that's true. You guys can't actually see. What's Tonic holding? Who knows? I do. Alright, so when I was talking about it earlier when I got the key to the face shrine, this pattern is now set because we didn't go into the room above Armos. This music's pretty lit, fam. Alright, I can skip this cutscene here. We'll see if I get it. Yo, I didn't. Sick.
Oh, missed it.
So you skip this text box, but it also eliminates music for the entirety of the fight, so there's that. So I did it for the fans. You can kill this guy. It's like a pixel perfect thing. I have no idea where the pixel's at, so just do that. You gotta hit him 3 times with the magic powder. So hopefully... Alright. So now, another Link to the Past shout out. Our boy Aga. The first 2 balls that he fires at you are guaranteed to hit. And then after that, you have a 50-50 chance of getting blue balls. Yeah. I guess while we're doing this, some fun info about Link's Awakening. It was initially like an after-work project by some developers at Nintendo, so that's why there's Goombas and things like that. It wasn't intentionally, or initially, going to be a Zelda game. Yo, no blue balls. I got to get this pixel right here. Alright, he's dead. That's Moldorm, but you can lock him in position if you're... It's a pretty generous gap, but... Hit again 6 times. You can actually use the Ocarina here and fool the game into thinking that Deathel, this guy that's coming up right here, is one of those bats, but it's pretty precise. He has a really weird hitbox, but if you walk up into this corner, it's random when he opens his eye, but whenever he opens his eye, you can just shoot him and it hits him. Yeah, sweet. So one thing you don't want to do is reset the console right here. I've heard that that's bad. So I'm pretty sure if we discredit that reset, there's a PB. I'm about 100% on that, actually.
132, alright.
Yeah, because I have a 133.34 is my PB.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. You're a god. World record. What was the reset, by the way?
The reset was like 2 minutes in. Because I was playing on GameCube yesterday, and the save and quit menu is different, so I went for the GameCube version and reset the console instead. Had to start over. I just want everyone to see the Windfish here, because he's pretty cool. So this is the beast that we have awakened.
Well,
Yeah, it definitely looks better with color. But yeah, so that was Link's Awakening DX. There's a bunch of really cool categories. There's one where you can go into the doghouse backwards and completely break the game. There's a 100% category called No Restrictions, and I think the world record's like 38 minutes. So you collect all the items by clipping out of bounds, any means necessary. There's another really cool category called All Instruments that does the same thing. You clip through that doghouse with the balls on the roof, and you break through the game in this super glitch state. It's really neat. But the any percent, no save and quit, no wrong warp, no out of bounds is considered the main category. It uses a lot of the tricks I did in 100% without collecting all the items, so it's really fast. Yeah, super good community, a lot of races and fun stuff. It's a great Game Boy game. If you haven't played it, you should check it out. But yeah, I'm off. I don't remember what we have coming up next, but if Rockman block, yeah. So if you guys are ready to get rock hard, stay tuned, and see y'all in a little bit.